What is going on to you lovely people out there? Elliot here with MovieFiles. Just got done seeing the new Steven Spielberg action adventure science fiction drama by the name of Disclosure Day. Now, before we get into my spoiler-free thoughts, I want to thank you all for taking a chance and clicking on the video and hearing my thoughts about this film. This will be a non-spoiler review. Let's jump right into it. Before we actually do that, like, share, consider commenting your thoughts about your excitement level, your favorite Steven Spielberg film, and of course, once you've seen the film, what you all think of it, and consider sticking around by subscribing to the channel today. So I don't think Steven needs an introduction. I personally believe that he is probably the greatest director to ever utter the words action and cut, at least in my lifetime. And he was even here before I was even born. But big fan of his work. Jaws, E.T., my favorite film of all time is Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, Minority Report, Saving Private Ryan, The Post. I mean, the resume speaks for itself. So going into Disclosure Day, I will say that I was intrigued because the topic at hand is something that I am very interested in. I will just say up front that I do believe that there is other life forms beyond ours on this universe in the, galaxy. I do believe that there are UFOs out there, but that's another conversation for another day. I guess this would be the day to talk about it since this is a topic. But nonetheless, I am a believer, if you want to call it that, but not to the extent that I go down these rabbit holes and, look at all these articles and, go into those. Nothing's wrong with that, by the way, but I just don't spend as much time diving into that side of the questioning of if we are alone on this this little planet we call Earth. But nonetheless, I went into this with, hoping that this will be the special Steven, right? Because we've been getting West Side Story, I really enjoyed. Fablemans, I really enjoyed. I had fun with Ready Player One. And of course, there's The Post, like I mentioned earlier. There's the Lincolns of the world and so on and so forth. There's a certain era of Steven Spielberg that really operates at a pretty standard level. But then there's the E.T.s, there's the Jaws, there's the Jurassic Parks, there's the Schindler's List, there's the Elite, the GOATs, the type of movies that he's had in his filmography. Disclosure Day is a film that ultimately left me feeling a bit disappointed in a lot of ways because of, number one, who directed this film, but also I was hoping that this was going to be a mix of The Post, which was a very, thought-provoking, rivetive, profound narrative about speaking the truth of what that film is tackling, mixed in with the wonder and the adventure of an E.T., of a Minority Report, of something, of a Jurassic Park level of spectacle. Unfortunately to me, and I know a lot of you all might laugh at this comparison, but I said to my fellow critics that after the movie was over, I felt like I watched a sequel to Indiana Jones' Crystal Skull. Now, you guys might laugh when I say that, but I really mean that. Let me get into my positives before we dive into the stuff that didn't work for me. I will say, from a filmmaking standpoint, the man is one of the greatest to ever do it, and you see that in this movie. The camera movement, the editing, the John Williams, who's another GOAT, the score, which enhances a lot of the scenes that fell a lot of flat to me in a lot of moments, but the score, the cinematography, the direction at times, it is all operating on a level that you come to expect from someone of his caliber. So all of those technical elements of this film really stood out to me. It really was the best parts of this film for me at points. So I'll give it that. On a simple baseline of entertainment, I know everyone has their levels of what they find entertainment, but I think on a very simplistic level of what makes a film fun and entertaining and engaging at points, I think this film hits those beats at points. There are sequences, like there's a car chase sequence that I thought was pretty entertaining, that I thought was a really invigorating kind of action set piece. There's a train sequence that I thought was very entertaining. And there's other little moments of entertainment that I thought that for someone that might not watch a lot of movies, if you're out there that watches, maybe 10 to 15 movies a year, I think you will be entertained at the very least at some elements of this film. From a performance standpoint, this is a cast that I am very much a fan of. Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connell. We have Colin Firth, Colman Domingo, and a slew of other great actors that you've seen in a lot of projects, but those are like the heavy hitters. And I would say out of all of those actors, Emily Blunt, number one, she gets the most to do because it is kind of her narrative. She is kind of the most important character in the film. So with that, she has a lot of responsibility. There are moments of levity, moments of emotions, moments of awe and wonder that she brings to the table, comedy beats that she brings to the table. So I think Emily Blunt, I know some people were saying that she's going to be nominated for, not like, no, this isn't her best performance, not even close, but it is the most engaging performance. So Emily Blunt is really solid for what the film asks of her to do. Josh, I like him as an actor. He's okay. Colin Firth, we'll talk about him later. Colman's great in everything he does. He's just unfortunately kind of limited to just kind of one thing in this film. So out of all performances, Emily's the one that you all will probably come out speaking highly of because, again, she gets the most to do. Outside of those elements, there are moments that, again, when you're dealing with someone like Steven Spielberg, you are brought back to a moment of like, this is film. These are movies I grew up on. As far as like, I feel like he was trying to tap into some of his greatest hits of his career. And there are moments that he does kind of recreate moments of emotion, moments of wonder, moment of adventure, moments of curiosity, moments of fun. But it's far and in between. That brings me into my negatives. I go back to my Crystal Skull comparison. This was unexpectedly a screwball comedy that I did not need, nor did I want. This was a film that was very much riddled with things that made me so annoyed and distracted because of who made this film. I go back to my Crystal Skull comparison and think about the, Kate Blanchett and the whole Nazi regime and the bad guys in that film. Like, think that level of idiots of characters. Apply that logic to the government, or I shouldn't even say the government, but like this secret agency that holds all the secrets to UFOs and things of that nature. They were the dumbest characters that I have seen in a very long time. The agency in this film was extremely unbelievable, laughable, and this includes Colin Firth. That whole industry agency that is chasing Josh and Emily was so bad, it was extremely distracting. And from a Steven Spielberg caliber director, I couldn't believe the levels of absurdity that these characters, the stuff that they were doing, we're tough, we have guns in one scene, we know where everyone's in the world, where everyone's at any point in the movie, but at some points we don't have guns, we don't have a motive, and it's just like the most surface level villains you'll ever see in the movie. So that was very distracting, including Colin Firth, who I think is a phenomenal Oscar-nominated actor, if I'm not mistaken, and might have won. Really bad performance from him, but also a poorly written character. So all of that stuff with Colin Firth and his agency, bad in my eyes, terrible in my eyes, very distracting. The tone of this movie, I couldn't tell if I could tell. He was trying to make a 4-quadrant, I don't want to say action-adventure, but a 4-quadrant, family-friendly alien movie with action beats, but with riddled and bogged down with like this screwball comedy approach where almost every scene had some type of comedic beat to it, which was very unwarranted and very distracting and very just almost felt like the film was not serious at a lot of the points. Considering the subject matter and considering how thought-provoking this film thinks it is, how engaging of the conversation starter that the film think it's opening up itself to, as far as those that might not believe in UFOs. This film is just so bland in a lot of moments in regards to what it's trying to get at in the messaging of, if there is which I do believe, there are other life forms in this world, how does this film not necessarily convert someone, but how does this film change someone's opinion? And since we're on the topic of the UFOs alien conversation, that was some of the most uninteresting elements of this film. I never felt like the film had a voice. I never felt like the film had an edge to it. All of the alien sequences, the messaging behind what Steven was trying to say about the idea of accepting that there are other life forms in this galaxy. I feel like all this stuff was like very surface level and very, dare I say, kind of like someone, and I know Steven's very passionate about the subject matter, but it felt like this was made by someone who's just like, I'm open to the idea, but I don't really have anything to add to the conversation in regards to this idea of what would happen today, which literally as I speak, just a couple weeks ago, it was announced that the government would be releasing disclosure information in regards to potentially the secrets and the hidden truth of the last 80 years of the government hiding certain events that will be considered, extraterrestrial or, otherworldly. But nonetheless, I just feel like this film just didn't really have a voice to offer or a thought to offer into the topic of what would happen if our world tomorrow, if we were exposed to Disclosure Day, what would happen? I don't feel like the film thinks that it's smarter than it is. It tries to add in this religious angle, this kind of, what is life angle, and it just felt all so surface to me. So, and also, speaking of the aliens, I was very, shocked by as far as the design, but, the animals that were in the film, which are important to the story in regards to the appearance of the aliens and the animals. I just thought that from a visual standpoint, it just did not look good. Again, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull comparison really what comes to mind. But guys, listen, I'm not gonna sit here and act like this is I hated the movie. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I could not fathom someone enjoying this. It's just, for me, when I think of Steven, I think of the GOAT. I think of the greatest living director of my life. And I love my modern directors. My favorite directors currently are, Denis Villeneuve and Christopher Nolan and Jordan Peele and Ryan Coogler and Ava DuVernay and so on and so forth. Of course, Spike Lee's of the world. But I just expected more. But I feel like Steven, I know that he knows the subject matter way more than I do. And knowing that, I just feel like what he presented in this film was just so, it was a softball. It wasn't a fastball, it wasn't a curveball. It was just a very softball. And it's just unfortunate because I think in this state of filmmaking where we are in the midst of the Curry Barkers of the world and Kane Parsons of the world and the Filippo brothers, and there's this new energy and excitement around filmmaking, and your favorite director is most likely inspired by Steven Spielberg. And I just felt like this was such a uninspiring Steven Spielberg or trying to recapture his greatest moments, and it just didn't happen for me. This was just such a bland nothing burger of a movie from a guy that has offered some of the greatest cinematic experiences I've ever had in my life. So you can tell I was disappointed, but again, I'm not going to say this is the worst movie, of his filmography, but I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm going to say this Disclosure Day film, while disappointing, it is entertaining at moments. There is, Emily Blunt is giving her all in a certain extent from what the film was given. And there are moments of wonder and awe and excitement, but it's just too far in between because it is bogged down by a very simpleton, basic storyline with really nothing to offer to the conversation and the topic at hand. And it just moves, and it's way too long, number one. And I couldn't wait for it to end. When you get to the third act, it felt like a balloon pop because just really, this is how we're going to wrap up the story, and how everything leads up to it just kind of felt. I felt like the second, I'm rambling at this point, but I feel like the second into the third act really just lost a lot of momentum that was kind of building in the first half. And there's the Jane character I feel like was wasted. There's the Wyatt Russell character I feel like was wasted. There's just a lot that just didn't work for me. So with that being said, I'm going to give Disclosure Day a 2.5 out of 5. It wasn't for me, but it might be for you. You might have a good time. You might laugh. You might cry. You might feel like you learned something new. But for me, it just did not hit those marks. Let me know in the comments below when you all see it, if you all see it. What did you all think? Positively, negatively, in between. Where does this rank amongst the Steven Spielberg films that you've seen? To me, it's in the bottom half of his filmography. But let me know your thoughts on that. And I wanted to love it. I didn't even like it. I just thought it was just very disappointing. So, like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. Help me reach my next milestone of 100 1,000 subscribers, which is crazy to say. But thank you all for watching. We got more reviews coming soon. In the meantime, don't forget you all are awesome. Stay safe. There are aliens out there, but don't let that discourage you to continue to live your life. But I'll catch you all on the next video.